Man, I like shiny Pokemon. Do you like shiny Pokemon? You take a Pokemon with its usual color, drop a different coat of paint on it, and bam! I want it even more. Most of the time, these Pokemon are pretty rare in the game. Oh, hello Red Gyarados. And the same goes for the Pokemon trading card game. While not as rare as those in-game odds, wow, that would be a lot of open packs. These cards are definitely not the most common sight you will find in your booster pack. Starting with the Neo series going all the way to the present, these rare Pokemon have shown up in many sets, and today we'll go through them all. I will only talk about the English version of these cards with one special exception. Also, before starting, I would like to say that this video is inspired by Candy Eevee, so go check out that video if you haven't already. Since that video was released though, we have a lot more Pokemon that were added to the Shiny family. Alright, let's get this started. Neo Revelation introduced Shining Pokemon, with the first two being Magikarp and Gyarados. Well, that's kind of fitting. These Shining Pokemon all had a number higher than the actual set number, making them secret rares. Nice. If you like those two, Neo Destiny introduced 8 new Shining Pokemon, with Celebi, Charizard, Kabutops, Mewtwo, Noctowl, Raichu, Steelix, and Tyranitar. Wait a minute. Hust? These Pokemon were different from Magikarp and Gyarados because the background was not holographic, but the Pokemon was instead, making the Pokemon almost pop out of the card. Now it's time for that special exception. You see, Japan got a Shining Pokemon that we never did, and I'm very sad that we didn't. Say hello to Korokoro, Shining Mew. After Neo Destiny was released, Shiny Pokemon weren't seen for quite some time. In November of 2004, EX Team Rocket Returns was released, ending an almost 3-year Shiny Pokemon drought. These new Shiny Pokemon did not have Shining in their names, but they did have a Gold Star. The Gold Star was likely chosen because of the stars that appeared in the video games at the time, whenever a Shiny Pokemon was encountered. Man, I love that sound. The first Gold Star Pokemon were, also quite fittingly, Trico, Torchic, and Mudkip. Look at these adorable guys. This set was followed by EX Deoxys in February of 2005, which contained Latios, Latias, and Rayquaza. Side note, these packs are incredibly scarce and might actually be as rare as a shiny Pokemon today. And then the next set came, EX Emerald, obviously based on the new game at the time. Oh, what's this? No gold stars? Why do you do this to us, Pokemon? You give and you take away. EX Unseen Forces gets released. 3 new gold stars, Raikou, Entei, Suicune, legendary dogs, we're back baby, woo! You might have already noticed that these Pokemon all kind of break out of their frame, a characteristic that was reserved only for these gold star Pokemon at the time. This makes them pop out the same way that the Shining Pokemon did. EX Delta Species gets released, featuring different type of Pokemon in the region of Holon. Alongside it, 3 gold stars, the other 2 box legendaries, and the pseudo-legendary Metagross. 2006, we get EX Legend Maker, featuring gold stars of the Reggie trio. Oh man. May, 3 months later, we get fan favorites in Pikachu, Gyarados, and Mewtwo. Gyarados was even given the Fire type for being a Delta Pokemon, which fits its shiny color. And also, look at this Pikachu. That's a cool guy. August gave us Alakazam Gold Star and Celebi Gold Star with the release of EX Crystal Guardians. November gave us the best Gold Star Pokemon in my opinion, Gold Star Charizard and Gold Star Mew. Both of them continued Gyarados' Delta legacy and made Shiny Charizard a Dark type and Shiny Mew a Water type, matching their color. Does that Delta species Charizard seem familiar to anyone else? EX Power Keeper started off the new year. The 3 gold stars in this set were the Kanto Evolutions, Vaporeon, Flareon, and Jolteon. The Johto Evolutions were also released, but in the Pop Series 5 packs. These packs were circulated around tournaments between March and September of 2007. The previous era of shiny Pokemon had fully evolved and legendary Pokemon as the rule, but in this case, it is the exception. Stormfront in 2008 introduced Drifloon, Duskull, and Voltorb as a shiny. These cards were all reverse holo, and because of that, they were in the reverse holo slot of packs. They also had their own special subset, SH. Shiny? Imagine if they released a subset of only 3 Pokemon per set today. We riot. Platinum introduced Lotad, Swablu, and Vulpix. Rising Rivals skipped shinies to make room for Rotom, I'm guessing. Supreme Victors had Milotic, Relicanth, and Yanma. Wow, that Milotic really looks amazing. And Arceus finished off the set with Bagon, Ponyta, and Shinx. Hard Gold and Soul Silver had another shiny Gyarados. And oh boy, get ready for that Gyarados army. And in September 2010, tins containing shiny Entei, Raikou, and Suicune promos were released based on the movie Zoroark, The Master of Illusions. However, Pokemon were not done. Call of Legends was released in February of 2011, containing a So I was gonna say whopping to 11 shiny Pokemon in one set, but y'all know what's waiting for us in the Sun and Moon era. 11 shiny Pokemon were in this set, all legendary and all under the subset SL. These cards had Silver Galaxy holographic borders, kind of like the EX series from the previous generation, and like our current Scarlet and Violet promo cards. And that's a wrap for Generation 4. The Black and White era started off just like the other series, without any shiny Pokemon. The first shinies were in Next Destinies, released February of 2012. Emboar, Chandelure, Zoroark, and Hydreigon were all Pokemon that were introduced in the 5th generation. The new shiny Pokemon design had a big energy symbol at the bottom of the card matching the Pokemon's type. This symbol, alongside the Pokemon box, had texture. Ooh. Everything else was like a normal Pokemon card. Dark Explorers had a shiny Gardevoir and a shiny Archeops. Dragons Exalted had another 4 shiny Pokemon, with Superior, Reuniclus, Crocodile, and also the return of that majestic Rayquaza. Boundaries Crossed introduced Golurk, Terrakion, and Altaria alongside gold textured borders. These borders would continue on for the rest of the shiny Pokemon in the 5th generation as well as the 6th. Note how the whole card isn't textured though, which is different from the full art Pokemon cards at the time. Plasma Storm, February 2013, saw 2 fan favorite Pokemon, with shiny Charizard making a return and shiny Blastoise making his debut as a shiny. Both these cards are illustrated by Ayaka Yoshida and are some of my favorites. Plasma Freeze introduced another 4 Pokemon, with Empoleon, Sigilyph, Garbodor, and Garchomp. And finally, Plasma Blast concluded the shinies in the 5th generation, with Execute, Virizion, and Dusknoir. Oh, and there were 2 different red Genesect cards, one in a collection box, and one that came with the English DVD of Genesect and the Legend Awakened. Cool promo, thumbs up. Alright, so around this time, a lot of shiny Pokemon were included in collection boxes as promos. I'm just gonna speedrun them. Alright, here we go. Shiny Mega Gengar EX included in the X and Y 2016 collector's chest. Shiny Metagross and Mega Metagross EX were included in the Mega Metagross EX Premium Collection. Shiny Rayquaza was included in the Rayquaza EX box. Shiny Xerneas and Yveltal were released in their own respective tins, and finally, this mean-looking Magikarp and Gyarados were released in the Shiny Mega Gyarados box. In Australia and Europe, contents may vary. In North America, Magikarp was given to people in select Target stores for participating in Pokemon Day events. And just to add one more card to Gyarados, there was a triple power tin with shiny Gyarados featured. Ancient Origins, released in August of 2015, featured shiny versions of, at the time, newly released Primal Groudon, Primal Kyogre, and Mega Rayquaza EX. These ones look very intimidating. These featured the return of the textured gold borders on cards that were over the set number, as well as the introduction of the whole shiny Pokemon card being textured. Now let me ask you a question. Do you like shiny Gyarados? Well, let me tell you, Breakpoint thinks you love shiny Gyarados, because it contains 5 different shiny Gyarados in just that set alone. There's that gold border again. No one man should have all that Gyarados. Generations had a shiny Mega Gardevoir alongside a regular Mega Gardevoir in its Radiant collection, and Steam Siege continued to show Gardevoir love with a regular print of Mega Shiny Gardevoir EX, as well as a full art print. Mega Steelix EX also got a regular print and a full art shiny print. Lastly, Steam Siege also reintroduced dual type Pokemon, but shiny, and then took them away just as quickly. We're now on to Sun and Moon. The Sun and Moon era also had some given shiny Pokemon released as promos. All of these cards were the same as their regular counterparts, but with different colors. Shiny Silvally EX was included in its own box, Shiny Zygarde GX in its own box, and there was a Tapu Koko shiny included in a 3-pack blister out of all things. Oh, and there's also Shiny Tapu Koko GX that had its own box. October 2017 saw the return of Shining Pokemon with the release of Shining Legends. These Pokemon were designed like they were in 2002, where only the Pokemon was hollow and not the whole Pokemon box. This time, it was also heavily textured. Shining Genesect, Volcanion, Mew, Jirachi, Rayquaza, and Arceus were all part of the main set, while Ho-Oh was included in the Shining Legends ETB, and Celebi and Lugia were included in the Shining Legends Super Premium Collection or the Shining Legends Premium Powers Collection. And it seemed like that was it for shiny Pokemon in the Sun and Moon block. New sets were being released, but no new shinies were introduced. Until... oh wow, this set brings back so many memories. Hidden Fates consisted of a main set containing 68 cards and 1 secret rare card. But that's not important. Alongside it was a subset called the Shiny Vault. This set consisted of another 94 cards, with a whopping 80 cards being shiny Pokemon. All of these cards had a silver and white background accompanied by shiny stars. These cards were again a reprint and had the same attacks as their regular counterparts. The art on the first half of the subset, however, was drastically different. It was like a mini full art. It was amazing. See this Scyther from Celestial Storm? Bam, he's now shiny. Alolan Vulpix from Guardians Rising? shiny. This Altaria from Dragon's Majesty, shiny. And it was all accompanied by that lovely texture we've been seeing in the Sun and Moon block. Oh man, just beautiful. Mwah. The most well-known cards in this set, however, are the full art shinies. You take a full art from the previous set, you change its color, and that's all you need. See this Rainbow Charizard you wanted from Burning Shadows? You now want his shiny brother more. You see this Espeon? You see the Umbreon? You want him shiny. One more card I would like to mention is the full art Cynthia. Her full art reprint in Hidden Fates features a shiny Lucario and a shiny Garchomp, I think? This is my favorite trainer card ever. Hidden Fates also had special shiny Pokemon promos that came with collections. A standout is this shiny Rayquaza though. Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! It's time for the new Pokemon block. While Sun and Moon featured gold Pokemon, items, and stadiums, none of the Pokemon were actually shiny Pokemon. Until the second set of Sword and Shield, Rebel Clash, and the introduction of shiny Frostmoth and shiny Galarian Berserker. These shinies were also reprints of select Pokemon from previous sets. Darkness Ablaze had Rillaboom and Colossal. Champion's Path, well, you know what Champion's Path had. That's the Zard, baby! Everyone get excited! VMAX coming soon. Vivid Voltage had Oranguru and Galarian Obstagoon. Now I'm gonna need y'all to listen close, because the next set is another shiny subset. You remember Hidden Fates? Well, this one, Shiny Fates. Same premise as Hidden Fates, although I feel like this set wasn't as popular. The VMAX shinies had that glittery look to them, which made them look amazing in real life. Battle Styles had Octillery and Houndoom as a gold shiny, Chilling Reign had Electrode, Bronzong, and my boy Snorlax as a shiny. Evolving Skies had Inteleon, Frostlass, and Cresselia, and the final of these gold shiny Pokemon was... Fluffy, Infusion Strike. I would also like to mention that there were legendary gold Pokemon cards, but they weren't shiny. Bruh, why are they shiny locking my legendaries? Gold Star Pokemon were brought back for a very short time. In the Celebrations Elite Trainer box, you could get a Gold Star Greninja as a promo, which was quite a nice touch. At the time of this video, Radiant Pokemon was the last that we saw of shiny Pokemon in the TCG. Astral Radiance was the first set to introduce these shiny Pokemon, with Radiant Greninja, Radiant Heatran, and Radiant Hawlucha. Pokemon Go had Venusaur, Charizard, and Blastoise, and also had a Radiant Eevee as a promo for its Radiant Eevee Premium Collection. Lost Origin had Gardevoir, Hisuian Sneasler, and Steelix. Silver Tempest had Zarina, Alakazam, and my favorite, Jirachi. Crown Zenith had the last of the Radiant Pokemon, with Radiant Eternatus, Charjabug, interesting choice, and Charizard, because why not? I think Charizard has had 8 shinies so far. Finally, 2 cards remain, Zacian and Zamazenta. They also had a gold card, like other shinies, but again, because they were legendary, they didn't have a shiny version. Until now. These cards are more reminiscent of the Shining Fates full arts. They each came in their own Crown Zenith Premium Collection box. And that just about does it. Pokemon has been hitting it out of the park with their designs in Scarlet and Violet, and I'm really curious to see how shiny Pokemon will be implemented in this block. I just really hope it's not out before I finish this video. So hey, did you make it to the end of the video? That's pretty cool of you. I usually do Pokemon openings, so if you want to see more of me, consider subscribing and clicking on any of these videos.